About the attitude of practice, which opens us up to patience. I wanted to use this deck of cards and show you, I've been working on this. This takes time, and anything that you really want to accomplish takes time. I mean, some people, you may have friends that you know that tried something, and like tying your shoes, for instance, they just got it right away, and you might have taken longer. And that's the way it is with sports, with music, with art, and especially with magic. Using that idea of practice, and I was talking about juggling earlier, learning to shuffle with one hand. It's not easy, but it can be done. And this is what it looks like, just shuffling with one hand. And I learned to do it with the other hand as well. The idea here is that if you practice, you can do things that other people would think are very difficult. Now, I want to break this down for you because people often ask me, well, how do you learn how to do that? So you don't just pick up the deck one day and say, I'm going to shuffle these with one hand. Watch, you know. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to drop the cards an awful many times, and that's why practice is so important. And making mistakes is a natural part of learning this. But here's the basic aspects to how to shuffle a deck with one hand. You have to use all your fingers and your thumb to hold the deck together. And if you use the little finger on the back side of the deck, so that when you have it squared up, you're going to break the deck with your index finger, and then you have to pivot this part over and bring the index finger into the center here. And again, this is pretty tricky, if you'll pardon the expression, but as you break this open, you have to slide the card over and then bring these two, again, these fingers help hold this steady, and then your thumb and the index finger bring this part together. Let me back up just a moment, because when there is a shuffle called a pharaoh, and I don't know the actual background of the pharaoh, but it has to do with every other card going in and interlocking like this. And when you do that, it brings the cards together so that you can then riffle them down. So that idea is used in the one-hand shuffle as you get through this. This is one of the most difficult parts, is getting this part where you break the top open and catch that between so you've got them kind of pivoting. And then you have to pharaoh, you have to bring these two edges together and then slowly work this part so that the cards come together like that. And once they interlock with each other, then you use the thumb on one side and you remove the index finger as you fan down the cards. It's almost as hard as it looks. But again, if you watch this and you just get a deck of cards in your hand and set this up where you're using the little finger at the bottom, and then break the top part open. Now there's a part here where if you get leaning too far forward, the cards will fall. So you have to really be aware. Don't practice this outside in a windy day. And actually performing it with cards outside is really tricky in and of itself. But I think that if you work on this part, getting that finger there, pulling that over, and then this part just using these two fingers to hold this together and work that pharaoh in, you just kind of got to, you'll find that you're going to work on new muscles in your hands to bring those together so that you can put all that in and then pharaoh it down like that. And if you work on it and you practice and you apply yourself, I know that maybe it won't take you 2 years like it did the first time I was learning with this hand. So that's how to do a one-handed shuffle.